Look, I have said before, and I continue to say that liquor privatization is something that is an interest around the whole building. It's to what level, degree. We have been discussing for several years now a set of bills called liquor modernization, and if those half a dozen bills were enacted, we would have somewhere between $75 and $100 million into the general fund for each of the last 2 years. And I think we can put a couple trains on the track and continue to work through this. But, clearly liquor privatization has huge interest with some members in the House and huge interest with the governor, I believe. But when we continue to work through tough issues as transportation and pensions, and again, a budget that doesn't seem to have the revenues that the expenditures call for, I just think that the emphasis needs to be put on those top issues. And I'm willing to work on privatization in whatever aspects that we can find support for in the Senate.
You still prefer modernization?
Look, I think we put both trains on the track. Why do we want to continue to leave $75 to $100 million on the table that we could put into public education, or we could put into a safe schools program? Now, those are significant dollars, and clearly whatever we do in privatization, it's going to be over a period of time, and I'd like to capture those dollars, make the system worth more, which that's what modernization does. I continue to say, in my rural area, my concern is who wants to come and have a license in Brockway, Pennsylvania, or Sykesville, or Reynoldsville at a store that loses money? Who's going to buy that license? So, I want to look at this, the plan that comes out of the governor. I haven't seen it. I'm not aware of it yet, but I'll keep my ears open.
Just one final question, if I may. Do you feel that in any way rolling out privatization with all these other important big-ticket items that you mentioned, transportation, the budget, and pensions, does it complicate things in any way by adding that into the mix?
Well, what ultimately complicates it is when we start taking hostages. And I've said before that Ed Rendell taught the art of hostage-taking to many of us in this building over a period of time very well. Here we are a couple weeks into a new legislative session, and yes, I understand during budget negotiations we all want this for that, and we try to make sure that we get a very well-rounded budget in that sense, but we don't need to start linking issues together now. That's just not, that's Washington-style politics, and we don't need that.
And you're referring to education spending and pension reform?
Well, look, I wasn't referring to that, but what I was referring to is linking privatization to another issue, but clearly that complicates things.
But does linking education and pension reform come under the same rubric of not taking hostages?
Well, look, the governor, from what I understand, from what the budget secretary says, is going to be booking a number in the budget to address the pension issue. And I'm looking forward to seeing what his plan is to filling that hole, because we need to have a plan along with it. But I don't see the likelihood of this body going along very well in reducing funding for our public schools.
But when you say he shouldn't take hostages, do you mean, does that include linking education and pension?
Well, let's see if he does it. But my concern is that's not really a good either-or. That's just not a good either-or. If we have a problem we need to solve, that's pensions, and we need to continue to fund public education at reasonable levels so that we don't continue to see local tax increases.
What are you concerned that liquor will be linked to?
I've been told that there's conversations of linking liquor to a transportation plan.
Does that go back to the old proposal of using money from the sale of licenses to put into transportation?
That may be. I don't know what the specifics of the plan is. All I can say is transportation has had in the past and currently great bipartisan support for getting the transportation plan done. And if we delay if we delay this into June, we delay, you know, 300, maybe $400 million extra going into roads and bridges this current calendar fiscal year coming up. And look, I think we've talked about it enough. We have a study, we have a report, we have everybody, you know, feeling, you know, the necessity to get this done. Delaying it and linking it just really doesn't do any good for the Commonwealth.